afternoon, everyone. Welcome again to the fourth edition of ET Retail's Retail Tech Summit 2023. I hope you all are having an eventful day today. I have with me on stage the Chief Executive Officer, Sandeep Varaganti. He's the CEO of Jiomart, which is the e-commerce marketplace of Reliance Retail. So the topic of our fireside chat today is how technology is at the heart of omnichannel e-tailing. And before we analyze the role of technology in omnichannel, I have a very basic question for you, Sandeep, to start with. We are seeing the entire retail market moving towards omnichannel. But if we go back and look at it, what did the customer exactly communicate that we are moving on omnichannel?
Sure. I think that's a great question to get us started, right? I think just to clarify what omnichannel means, I think most of the audience would know considering this tech summit, but what it means is trying to give the same kind of experience to a customer, whether they're shopping online, offline, any medium that they're shopping on. That's what omnichannel means. Your question about signal from customers, right? Very interesting, and I think the pandemic played a critical role in defining how customers are wanting experiences online, right? Before pandemic, right? I'm talking about 2019, 2020. There was a huge rush on offline players moving online, right? There were D2C brands being created. Everybody was playing offline, wanted to play online. All of that was happening. Lockdown accelerated it. The pandemic-related lockdown accelerated it, which means the offline space was shut. Lockdown happened. A lot of people actually had to shut shop, meaning they were not able to open it once the lockdown was done. Online thrived. More and more customers continued shopping online. What happened after the pandemic? Interestingly, that was when I had moved jobs, right? Changed jobs. I was at Amazon. I moved to Reliance. So now at Reliance, I started having more and more exposure to what's happening offline because of the large network of stores that Reliance Retail has, right? We've got about 17,000 stores across all formats, grocery, fashion, electronics. Coming out of the pandemic, we saw a rise in footfalls offline as well, which made us believe that the theory that offline is going to shift online, in future, online is going to thrive and offline is going to reside, right? That was muted. That was debunked by customers. Customers started shopping both online and offline. It is their preference. And it is not even a category preference. It is not that grocery they are shopping only online and clothes they are shopping offline. It is not like that. It is a mixed thing. So that was the first critical signal, Pallavi, that we received that, hey, omnichannel is the way to go because customers' preferences are clear. Offline is here to stay and it is growing. It is not going anywhere. Online, we know there is a huge opportunity, right? We are just at around 3% of e-commerce penetration. There's a lot more for us to achieve there.
Great. I really like how you are always bang on in your understanding of this concept. So coming to the role of technology in omnichannel retail, let's understand the most critical aspect of it, which is inventory and supply chain. At Jiomart, how are you using technology to optimize your inventory in an omnichannel setting?
I think inventory management as an element itself is very critical when you're talking about e-commerce or even when you talk about offline. Running an e-commerce business, it was significantly critical, but it was one-dimensional. Meaning you either had your own warehouses from where you are taking your inventory and moving it to the customer, or there is a seller's or a brand's warehouse from where you are moving it, right? It was straightforward. Imagine a setup where we are trying to do this in an omni-channel way. Meaning there is inventory. Omni-channel means there is one inventory, one pricing, one discount. Everything is the same across offline and online. That's what omni-channel means. You walk into a store, you see, for example, 100 kgs of onions lying there. 100 kgs is too much. You cannot carry that much in a store. So say 20 kgs. Imagine a situation where 20 kgs is showing you in a store for a customer walking. There is another customer online who wants to place an order for onions. Imagine a situation where in a 2 to 3 minute period, the 20 kgs of onion gets sold offline and it is not reconciled online. So the customer is placing this online and the person is not able to the order will go through because it showed at the moment he was placing the order. Offline, what happens? The person picks it, puts it in the cart, shops for another 10 things across the aisles, and then goes to the checkout. So in these 10 minutes, the online customer places an order, but the inventory is gone. Right? So inventory management becomes very critical. So it's not single dimension on how much inventory is in my warehouse, how much should I show online. It is now about reconciling between online, offline. And for that 10-minute period, right, where the customer is moving across the aisle and checking out, how do you identify? So we are trying to advance the systems to a stage where picking a bag of onions from the aisle itself is detected. Right? It could be, you can use latest technology to do that, right? So we are doing all of that IR detection to figure out how many bags are being picked from the aisle. So just an example to explain how critical inventory management becomes in an omni-channel. It is more critical and more complicated than in a pure offline or a pure online setup.
Great. I really like that example. And when we, as you explained, Omnichannel is basically integrating your offline and online. So at Jiomart, one of your most critical aspects of offline is your Kirana network. So for this non-tech savvy part of the system, how are you building a tech-enabled online journey?
So interesting journey, right? I mean, my career with Reliance has been for about 2 years, but traditionally, right, all my life I've been very passionate about SMBs, specifically having grown up in India, doing businesses in India. SMBs play a critical role in the country's economy, right? There are about easily 70, 80 crore SMBs. Now, 2 data points. First data point, they contribute to about 30% odd of the country's GDP. They're significant. Second, there are a lot of these SMBs are also job providers, right? The 70 crore SMBs are across, right? Small, micro, medium, right? A tire puncture shop is also an SMB. And Reliance at one point was an SMB, right? So it's all, it cuts across all segments. But even if you look at a cycle puncture shop or a Kirana, because you're talking about Kirana, they give employment to an average of 2 people. A person who is the owner or the entrepreneur, plus one more person who's either helping to pack, helping to deliver, or is at the till. So that's about 150 crore jobs. So this becomes very important. Thankfully, even Reliance retail, right, has this thinking similar to, that's where I think my thoughts matched. We would like to enable Kiranas. Kirana, if you walk in, right, now we are all walking into modern trade formats, value formats where everything's neatly placed in the aisle. But imagine 10 years ago, 20 years ago, if you are not from Mumbai and you have a hometown, imagine the Kirana setup there. You walk in, it is completely unorganized, right? You will see a pile of grains, right? Different kinds of grains and pulses in the middle. Then there is aisles which are not pleasantly organized. Second, so that just how it looks. Number 2, how do they manage their inventory? There is no system. It is all on notepads, right? There is no point of sale. It is all cash. But now with UPI coming, with credit cards increasing, they need a proper organized POS. So multiple parts of a Kirana's life cycle we'd like to revolutionize, including supply. It's been disorganized so far, right? There is 10 distributors they'll have to procure, right? Someone gives Unilever, someone gives P&G, someone else gives Nestle, someone else gives ITC, that depend on somebody else for fruits and vegetables, right? So it's all across. So how do we organize that? So we are trying to impact every part of a Kirana's life cycle and modernize it. Give them technology. It could be inventory management. It could be POS, point of sale, and revolutionize their life, right? Make them more efficient. If they were able to store, say, 500 kgs of product, right? I don't know what's the right measure to quantify it, but if they were able to store and display 500 kgs of merchandise in their store, can that be 100,000 kgs based on our intervention? Can they be faster because of we organize their store? Can they be faster because of the POS, more organized, etc.? So at every point, we are trying to impact these Kiranas.
Okay. You said the company is trying to enable and revolutionize Kiranas, and I think I have my headline there, so thank you so much for that. Before we wrap this up, I have a little spicier question for you. that we are seeing the rise of social commerce, and I think it's an additional layer to how omnichannel works. And your partnership with WhatsApp is a great example of this, right? So what has been your learning where you are leveraging practically the largest social network to drive commerce?
Yeah. I think it's a great question. I think it will be a good topic for us to close the conversation on. WhatsApp has been a great partnership for us, right? If you look at how internet penetration has grown, right, versus how e-commerce penetration has grown, while both have a linear relationship, one is at a much higher level than the other, right? Rewind 6-7 years ago, about 20-30 crore of Indian population had smartphones and 4G on their smartphones. That number has tripled to almost 60-70 crores of the Indian population, almost 60% of the Indian population, right, of the adult population now have smartphones with them, with 5G, thanks to Jio. Now the e-commerce penetration is still 3%, meaning people have 5G, but they're consuming it for other kinds of content, not to buy a service or a product, right? There is a gap. Why is internet penetration at 50%, whereas e-commerce penetration is only at 3%? Why is there a gap? Because people are not savvy yet, they're not sophisticated yet, right? If I ask this audience a question, how many of you have shopping apps in your mobile phone, smartphones? It could be a Myntra, it could be a Jiomart. How many of you have it? And almost 100% have it. How many of you all have WhatsApp? Same, right? Again, 100% have it. How many of your parents have WhatsApp? Again, almost 80% here says parents have WhatsApp. How many of your parents have a shopping app like a Myntra? See, the number has dropped to 20% now. Right? So what's happening here is people have smartphones, they have 5G, they have WhatsApp by default. But they are not having an app like an Amazon or a Flipkart or a Jiomart. They have this barrier to download the app, and they don't have the trust yet to say that, hey, I'm going to go and shop. Whereas they have WhatsApp. It's a conversational chatbot that we used to offer e-commerce to them. So that's the premise on why we believe this will work. And it's worked for us because from the time we've launched, we've seen the business grow 30-40% month over month. And from our first month or quarter to now, the number of users who started using Jiomart on WhatsApp has grown 9 times. And we launched it, 7 months ago? September, October we launched. So just in these 7 months, 9 times the number of users who are using Jiomart on WhatsApp have grown. So I think the partnership is working and it is the way to go. WhatsApp has about 400 million users. So how do we explore and exploit that user base is our next target.
Great. So it's fair to say that to drive e-com penetration in the country, reach the deepest pockets, trust building is going to be a key factor.
Yeah. It's significant. It's significant. It's very important. Thankfully, Reliance has a deep brand, something that's existed for almost 40-50 years now. So we are banking on it. Hopefully, it will make our life easier to penetrate deeper parts of the country.
Okay, wonderful. I think this will be, a right note to wrap up our conversation. And thank you so much, Sandeep, for joining us and sharing your insightful inputs. It's always lovely to have you here.
Thanks, Palafi. Glad I was able to make it.